Anahi is a certified coach, trained chef, and joy sparking author and speaker who wholeheartedly embraces life in Qatar. Having broken free from the corporate world, she realized the importance of living life to the fullest. This realization led her to establish a vibrant coaching practice focused on reclaiming our unconditional self worth, healing emotional wounds, and cultivating a life anchored in compassion. Now, Anahi's passion lies in empowering millennial women through transformative mindset coaching. She inspires her clients to embrace their fullest abundant life by taking intentional actions aligned with their vision, all while avoiding burnout, imposter syndrome, and self sabotage. Anahi's approach creates sustainable and profound transformations, nurturing abundance focused, empowered mindsets. With authenticity and compassion as her guiding principles, she helps individuals embrace lasting change and unlock a life filled with joy, pleasure, and ease in all its beautiful forms. Hello, everybody. I'm so pleased to have today with me for another episode of the Money Matters podcast, Anahi Ortiz Prieto. Hi, Anahi.
Hi, Hi, Anca. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very happy to have this conversation with you. And I would love to know all about who you are and your background story.
Oh, okay. So, well, I am originally I am a journalist, so that was my career. Then I became a coach. I did nutritional coaching. Then I did mindfulness, mindset, and I think I have been always fascinated by all of this. And then at some point along the line, I became a mom. I'm a trained chef, and then after working with many clients, I realized that even when we nailed the diet, even when everything that they were eating was perfect, they kept stumbling time and time again. And that was because their mindset wasn't aligned. And I know in the 90s and in the 2000s, there was a lot of pop culture around, manifest it and create it with your mind and blah, blah, blah. But a lot of the times we don't understand what that really looks like, in the day to day. And at some time, because we have trauma, because we have been conditioned, because we have blockage, we just keep falling, like tripping with the same stone over and over again. So I realized that whether my clients wanted to get a promotion at work, buy their dream house, find their perfect partner, or lose weight, it was all down to whether they felt that they deserve it, that their worthiness was aligned with their dreams. And because we have been conditioned by a lot of things, most of the time they said that they wanted it, but deep down they felt that they didn't deserve it. Their worthiness, their sense of self-worth was so hollow. And so when we started working more on that and reclaiming that unconditional, abundant, and eternal worthiness, suddenly all those desires either became very clear and they could go for them, or they began to manifest, so that's when I decided that I didn't want to carry on being a nutritional coach. I used to be a keto coach, that I wanted to be the self-worth coach, because ultimately that's it. And then when I jump on that journey of discovering worthiness and what it's like to really feel that you are worthy of all the abundance and all the beauty and all the pleasure and all the ease and all the joy of the universe, I start working more on prosperity and full on abundance. So abundance that is as unconditional as our worthiness is. So kind of like that has been my journey, like from journalism to health coaching to nutritional coaching to like a little, very twisty turny journey, but it has always been about aligning things. I think that once we recognize that that what we want we can have, not because we saw a movie about it, but because we really can, if our brain thinks about it and we decode those blockages, everything just gets easier. So
Yeah.
that's
I love that. And I'm wondering how is it related to your personal story? Because I imagine that as you are leading clients through their self-worth journey, you also found your own limitations along the way. And how is that related to your capacity to receive abundance and to create abundance?
100%. I feel like all of us who are in the space of helping others are in that space because we wanted to be helped ourselves, right?
Mm.
We become healers because we still have some healing to do, and in doing so, we get so excited that we're like, oh, let me share this with the world. I started my journey as a health coach after I battled with my own health issues, with my overweight, and I started losing weight and feeling healthy. And then I was like, I need the world to know this. This is phenomenal. So I started training, and when I was seeing my clients and I was seeing how they were struggling, but then also I was feeling how I was struggling at times, with different things. I was like, okay, even when I eat perfect, even when I exercise, even when I do this, even when I do that, there's something missing. And in finding what was me, like it was like it wouldn't, it wouldn't click. Finding what was making it click was like, oh my God, it just makes sense. And obviously in that journey, you break, you shed, you heal, you grow, you repair yourself, I think you become more comfortable with your humanity, because I feel like one thing for me as a coach is that when I sit with someone in pain or in shame or in whatever emotional range they are there, it is beautiful. It is such a perfect gift that they give me, because they're bringing me into their humanity, but also that humanity triggers mine. So it's just like as a mom, when I see my sons crying, my inner child, it's triggered. The same thing happened as a coach. So when I see my clients break apart and then put themselves back together and heal, we do it together, right? I'm not doing it for them. I'm just holding the container. And witnessing that process brings us so much um, understanding and awe, Um, and it creates a beautiful relationship, but also it reminds me constantly of my own limitations, my own humanity, and ultimately my role, or not my role, but my journey. I think that the one lesson that I have learned through this is that I don't want to be free from limitations. Limitations are beautiful. I want to create a space and ease within my limitations. I want to know that those limitations exist and they're there and they're wonderful and they give me so much freedom. And then just indulge in that freedom and really savor it.
Yeah, and I love that it feels like accepting and really welcoming all parts of you. And once you get that for yourself, then you create a space to also hold your loved ones and your clients and the people that surround you with the same kind of energy, where they are all welcome in all their aspects without making bad the less desirable sides of limiting beliefs. And talking about limiting beliefs, I'm wondering, what did you uncover for yourself? And maybe you do not have, maybe that's not the vocabulary that you would use, limiting beliefs. What were the aspects that you felt were out of alignment on your abundance journey?
Oh, so many. I mean, to start, and I've been talking about this a lot with my clients lately. Is that one of the truth that I held as an absolute growing up was that food was bad, and then I needed to restrict food, and then I needed to be thin, and I needed to take less space. And many times, and this is the shift that I have done in the last few years. Many times when we talk about nutritional coaching or diet culture, we think that it's only a physical thing, but nourishing your body is about abundance. If I am really living in abundance, then I am nourishing myself in all ways. And that means sleeping enough and moving enough and eating enough and connecting with all the parts of my humanity. So I think that my biggest limiting belief around abundance was that I needed to take less space to be more loved, because that made me cut parts of myself, and that makes me mask a lot, and that made me hide many parts of me. And when you're hiding and when you're living in fear, you're not living in abundance, because you're constantly thinking, I am not good enough, I cannot have this, I'm bad, I'm doing things bad. So that's just that's not in alignment with abundance. Abundance is an energy of expansion, right? I think the other one, which is one that I've been working actively for the last, I don't know, I would say 8 years, but probably like hardcore the last 3, 4 years, is that money or prosperity requires hard work and sacrifice. So that's one that I've been debunking it actively the last year. Particularly, I've been working super hard on it because the whole concept of manifesting and believing you shall have felt so fake. And I think it feels fake because many of us grew up in that new age, woo woo era that we're just like, oh, I don't need another guru, right? But when I began to debunk it and I began to strip apart what was wealth, what was abundance, what was prosperity, and how did that feel to me, like a big shift happened. Because then that's when I said, well, if I the first shift was that I said, I believe in God, right? So I believe in a God. And that might not be true for everybody, but for those who believe in God, and when we call ourselves people of faith, one thing that I kind of like banged my head, right? It was like, if I believe in God and I believe that there's a being bigger than me, not controlling, but guiding my steps, and that they know what's best for me and they know where am I going, who am I to doubt that they have my best interest at heart and that they're constantly rooting me towards it, towards my goals. So it was a very humbling moment because I said, for the first time, I said, okay, so, and it's funny, I have a tattoo set that says trust God. I did it when I was 20 and I never did. So if I am really a woman who is connected with her faith, and that faith is in a greater power, then the first thing for me to really live in abundance is to say, well, you have the will. I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to do what I want to do to get that, that step. But ultimately, it's up to you because you have the plan. So guide me, Lord, guide me and show me and keep my heart soft so that I can move and grow and, and expand. And that was a huge shift because in that moment, after living all my life in fear of money, because when you have an scarcity mindset, you're not scared of not having because you're so comfortable with not having. You're scared of having. And I was so scared of having and losing. And I was so scared of that money trap, right, in my mind, that I was constantly trying to micromanage how money came into my life, how much it stayed, like all of that. And when I said, well, it's like that man, like Jesus take the wheel, I was like, okay, God, you're up. That's it. I'm just here to be your instrument. Yalla, move me. It shifted and it freed me. I went through a divorce. Obviously, a divorce is a situation that is very costly and it puts your finances at risk. And it was the moment that I could actually make decisions and say, well, you know what? I'm a grown woman and I'm not gonna fear spending. I'm not gonna fear because there's always more. There's always more. And whatever comes is enough because I am enough and I am protected and I am constantly, cared for and nourished. So that has been, I think, another huge abundance related shift. But I can tell you that just when I decided to, I was eating on a ketogenic diet for many years, like 6-7 years. The moment that I stopped, my shift started because it was a moment where I said, if I'm truly, again, this is all connected, right? When you say I am God's daughter or whatever you say, whatever your connection is with the spiritual, right? I'm connected to the universe or whatever. When I said to myself, because my biggest fear was stopping keto and getting sick and gaining weight. When I said to myself, if keto is right now not working for me and I can see it, it's not working. Me micromanaging my diet is living in scarcity. Is saying, unless I, a human, control everything, my perfectly made body will fall apart. What if I assume that part of the divine plan that I'm living on is that I will move away from this and that my body will heal and continue moving with it? And that again is where abundance shows up day to day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. And thank you for naming that. I can feel that you have a strong faith in the energy that you connect with, that people call God. It depends on the faith that you have. So I imagine that you were born and brought up Catholic, right? Christian.
I was born in a mixed household. My father was not Catholic. I mean, he was brought up Catholic, but he moved away from it. He was very spiritual, but he was not really Christian. My mother was brought up in a Catholic household, like, like boxy Catholic. We go to church, we go to Easter, but I was not really brought up in the church. I choose to become Catholic. Like I got baptized as a teenager. I decided that I wanted to be. And then I went to Catholic school and I became super Catholic. And then I moved to Argentina and I became more Catholic. And funny enough, when I moved to Qatar 15 years ago, as a grown up, I became even more Catholic. So I became a more practicing Catholic in a Muslim country. So,
Yeah.
and then at the same moment, I moved away from it on my own. Not away from my faith, but away from the church itself,
Yeah. Because as you were talking, I have a background, or my religious background, my parents' religion is Orthodox. And I was brought up with a lot of not only scarcity mentality, which is also cultural, like I'm from Eastern Europe, but it was this humility that went to abnegation and to kind of dissolving the material aspect. And I could somehow relate to what you were saying through this lens. And through my own journey, and I'm still dismantling a lot of these aspects. I understood that that's not really working. Just like not being proud of who you are, or not like there were some certain things that were overlapping, and they were not useful and healthy in their overlapping. Like
Mhm.
being proud of who you are and being humble at the same time could coexist.
I think
Trusting.
because humility is not smallness.
Yeah.
Humility is knowing that you are as good as you are and as good as the other 8 billion people in the world. And I
Mhm.
think that our religions, like Christian religions, tend to say when you're humble, you suffer, you're small, you lower yourself,
Yeah.
you don't have anything, you don't want anything. And if you don't behave that way, then you're bad, you're evil, because money is evil, and
Yeah.
you're like, well,
Yeah, so it was related to also to this aspect of how money was portrayed. And even now I can feel that if I call money money, it has a very different resonance, and I can see it on people's faces that they have a different rapport to the word money than to the term abundance, than to the term prosperity. And it's interesting to dismantle that and to understand that at the end is just a word, and it has different connotations based on where you come from, or how you were brought up to view money. Yeah.
that is so interesting because I remember I was brought up, we were very poor. My mom was a single mom, my dad was in and out, like it's in a very, very tense political and financial moment in Venezuela where I was brought up. And I I was brought up wanting money because we wanted to have a better life, but fearing money and kind of not hating money. I never hated money, but it was like it's like fire. It's fascinating and you want to get close, but when you get too close you get burned, right? And then a lot of the comments around money and wealth, or like affluence, more than wealth is affluent, was first of all, for you to be a good rich, you have to break your back. Unless you are working 24/7, you do not deserve to have money, because how dare you? That's the first one, right? The second one, if you do not, then you are overindulgent. You are like, um, I don't have a word now, but it's like you are just throwing the money away, and and always it was about the other person. So it was like whenever we saw someone that had like a really really affluent lifestyle, and it showed, right? Let's say that they had a really big car or whatever. The comment wasn't, "Wow, that's so good for them." It will be, "Oh, look at them, so distasteful that they're rubbing it against everyone's faces," and you're like, well, like now I'm thinking, They were not rubbing it into anyone. Like they are not thinking about us watching them from the distance, but that was the mindset. And then the other one was like, if you didn't broke your back, if you didn't break your back getting the money, then you are corrupt and you are dirty, and then you are the worst of the worst. And so for you to be a good Christian, a good person, you needed to struggle, and you needed to struggle constantly. You need, like, I think that one thing that many of us got from being brought up in our cultures is that if you're not struggling with something, what is wrong with you? You're a bad person, because you're struggling with your marriage or with your money or with your children or with your health or with your weight, with something. If you're not struggling, how dare? And it's like, no, but God, like, honestly, if you believe in God, do you really think that God is gonna throw you in the world and be like, okay, now suffer? What psychotic God are we creating? You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
as a mother, I want my kids to struggle a little bit because that builds resiliency, but I don't want them to suffer. What kind of monster would that be? So if I'm, as a mother, that's me. Why am I gonna think that God, as a loving parent, is gonna be like, now you don't get money this week? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes so much sense because I had to dismantle that for myself. And the patriarchal image that my grandmother was constantly holding this mirror of you should be happy with whatever you have, and you should not strive for more. And for me, it never made sense because I wanted more. Like, as I was born with wanting more, wanting to move out of my country, wanting to explore a lot of things. So it didn't compute this aspect of being humble and just being grateful. And I think that it took me a while to understand how different aspects can coexist, that you can be grateful for where you are, and you can be grateful for the money that you have, and you can understand that other people are not doing something. That I was also brought up with was the fact that they must have done something illegal to get the money, because money was never something that you could make legally and be abundant in, right? So I had to dismantle all these things. And what you also mentioned, that different aspects can coexist. And I think that what in Christianity is called struggle, on the positive and useful aspect, is just for people, for humanity to understand that yes, suffering is a part of life, hardship is a part of life, but not in the way that you need to seek it and to go for it, but just to accept that yes, you are going to go through death, you're going to go at moments through poverty, maybe you're going to go through all shades and all experiences of life, and that's okay. But then you also get the choice of moving forth from that and being magnetized, but something that is maybe bigger or more significant to you than your background story.
I agree, and one thing that I always say to my clients is like, and this comes from humanistic existentialist psychology, is that pain is a given. Like, there are three givens in humanity. One is that anyone that is born is gonna die. It's a given, and it's a paradox. We are alive and we're gonna die. They coexist there, right? The second one is that we live alone. We are social creatures, but ultimately, from birth to death, we're gonna be alone. You can be with someone else, but at the end of the day, it's you with you, right? That's the journey, right? And the third one is that pain is a given. It's an absolute. Every single human in their life is gonna experience pain. Now, and this is where the shift happens. Suffering is optional. And I explain this to my clients when I say, like, if you are cooking and you touch something hot, that burn, it's pain. That's pain, and it's physical pain, and you jerk. Oh, I burn myself. Now, if 2 weeks have passed, your hands have healed, and we bump into each other in the supermarket, and I'm like, Anca, last week I was cooking, and I touched the dish, and it was hot, and it burned my feet, and I could see, look, and that's suffering. I am rekindling the pain. I'm like, let me cook with it, right? And because of many reasons, because I don't blame these choices, our unconscious choices, right? These decisions that we make, more than half, 80% of the time, we are not choosing them. They are happening in the back of our brain, in our reptilian, in our mammalian brain, and we're not even known that we're doing them, but our choices. And so part of our journey towards self-actualization is to choose differently. And when we really say, well, wait, what is the life that I want to create, that I want to be part of, that I want to co-create with whomever is up there that I believe in. If I don't believe in a God, then I might believe in energy, or I might believe in karma, whatever it is that it's my belief system, right? If I'm creating this life, what do I want to infuse into it? Yeah, of course I'm gonna struggle with pain. Of course. Oh, I might have a headache, I might fall, I might be beaten. I don't know. There are many ways that we're gonna experience pain, right? But am I going to let pain be the louder voice in my journey? Or am I gonna be like, okay, I hear you, I get you, and then move on, right? The thing is that when we are so conditioned to not having, to scarcity, to that fake pious, oh, I'm a good person, hence I'm gonna struggle with everything. Suffering becomes addictive. And you see it in people around you. You see people that are so hooked into pain that they create suffering constantly, and they suffer because, I don't know, their show got canceled, or their friend didn't call them, or their boss didn't say good morning, and they are hooked. And I never blame the person. We are biochemically hooked into this. We're addicted. So our journey is to then reconcile what is the life that I want to create. And that's a lot of what I do as a coach, is that I say to my clients, okay, so what is success like? What does it feel like? How does it look like? What is abundance like? So to me, for example, if you ask me right now, abundance is effortless money flowing into my bank account through the different, the different things that I do, my different activities and choices. And that could be investing in the stock market, or it could be talking to people in events, or it could be passive income. It doesn't matter. It's different ways, different that I don't control and I don't need to control, because abundance is money is flowing all the time, constantly. I don't need to do anything. It just comes. I show up in the world fully and money comes. That's abundance. Abundance is waking up and not rushing because I overslept again. Abundance is going to bed at the right time so my body is rested and nourished. Abundance is looking at my plate and noticing all the colors and all the nutrients that I'm going to indulge in. And having a treat when I feel like it, because it is my body and I get to enjoy every aspect of life. Abundance is hugging my kids and really hugging them, being there for them. Abundance is walking away for a big career so that I can be present in the little moments of their life and mine. That is abundance. Abundance is calling my mom every other day if I can. Abundance is saying I love you. Abundance is having friends and hugging them and telling them I love you, making it real. That's abundance to me, right? And maybe for you, abundance is traveling the world and having expensive, I don't know. Abundance is going to be different, but it's not in our bank accounts. Abundance is a mindset, it's an energy, it's how we conduct our whole life. And I feel like the more we align ourselves and we bring it together and we really make it make sense to you, then abundance doesn't feel like a concept that someone gave you or a dream that you have to believe in. It really becomes the way you live, because you are like, oh, this is abundance. Huh. This conversation, talking to someone like-minded and sharing ideas and stories, that is abundant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. I'm wondering, how do you support your clients specifically on creating abundance and prosperity through coaching?
So my first role is to be a fellow traveler with them. So the first thing that we do when we start working together is that we create a clear vision of everything that they want to achieve in their life and where are we going to. And then what I do is that first of all, we talk a lot, because a lot of those mindset shifts have to happen through conversation. There's a lot of journaling. There's a part, and this is a therapy that I do that is called brain work recursive therapy. And it's a little bit like it's like a little bit like hypnosis, in the sense that you work with the subconscious. It's really fast paced, but it's really powerful. And what we do is that we try to shift our reptilian brain. We try to shift it and change the connection to emotions. So we don't, we're not brainwashing anyone. What we're doing is that there's a lot of data that is stored there that we don't have easy access to because it's so old, right? And it's like a different language. Sometimes it's even not verbal, it's like physical. So we work with these tools to kind of like unlock those things and replace it with something that is more aligned with them. I at the end of the day, and you said something earlier, it's like it's not about bad things, it's about unwanted. Every single emotion, every single thought, every single belief brought you here, and that's beautiful. And there's a moment that you get to say, well, you brought me here and I appreciate you. Now I'm gonna let you go because I have something new. It's like, I have an example that I always use. It's like if you are in the middle of the ocean and you're swimming, right, and there's no land, nowhere to be stuck, and you're just swimming, and then suddenly you find an island, and you swim, 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 and you get to the island. When you get to the island, you're not gonna keep on swimming. You're not gonna keep on swimming your way in the sand. You're gonna stand up and you're gonna start walking. However, if you want to swim to the next island, you're gonna start swimming again. The same thing happened with our beliefs and with our thoughts. Is that they brought you here. You survive because of them. You cope because of them. You learn because of them. You grew because of them. And now some of them are gonna be useful in the future. Some of them you're never gonna touch again. It's like crawling. Once you learn how to walk, you're not gonna crawl again. But you're not gonna be like, well, that was stupid of me for crawling. I should have walked earlier. I should have come out of the womb walking. You say, oh, how beautiful. I crawl and now I walk. I swam and now I walk. And then I swim again. It's the same thing. So a lot of the journey that I take my clients in is recognizing those old ones that can be retired and put to rest, and then picking up and finding new ones. And sometimes the new ones are gonna be useful for a little period, and sometimes the new ones are gonna be useful forever. Ultimately, my goal is to make them so clear about what is the energy that they want to live in that they seek it constantly, because we get obsessed with everything, right? Like, I remember, and I always say this whenever someone says I want to lose weight, I said, you know what, that's not sexy enough. You're not gonna get hooked. Nobody gets hooked with weight loss. It's BS. We get hooked with the idea that when we lose weight, we will live a life XYZ. So let's find that XYZ. And like for many women is, when I lose weight, I'm gonna find the man of my dream. Or when I lose weight, I'm gonna walk with confidence. Or when I lose weight, I'm gonna get a promotion at work. Or when I lose weight, I'm gonna whatever, right? So let's work on that. Okay, so you got that promotion at work, and then what happened? Tell me more. And then what? Let's create, because then that's when the energy flows, and they're like, and I'm gonna feel, and that's where you get that's when you really connect with your abundance, because you're like, and I'm gonna feel effortless and strong and big, and that's what we get connected to. And then the weight loss becomes like it was my crawling. I didn't need it. I wanted to walk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense. And I think that a lot of us are focusing on something that is tangible instead of understanding that the tangible thing that we focus our attention is a symbol for how we want to feel, right? So a lot of the times I say that I want to drive a red Ferrari, and of course people are like, oh, that's so shallow. Because in my consciousness, a red Ferrari is a sign of success. It's a certain red Ferrari and so on. So yeah, thank you for bringing that into discussion. You work both with men and women, or primarily with women?
No, I only work with women.
Okay.
I only work with women. I work with men in group setups or corporate setups. So when I do events, I work with men, but in one-on-one particularly. And you know what? The reality is that I'm obsessed with women. Like, I want to empower more women. I love, like, most of my clients are women of color, and I love it. I love working against white patriarchy. I love dismantling all that BS and being like, look what a fierce boss, babe, princess, queen you are. Like, look at this. And the other thing is, like, I honestly, as much as energy is energy and we're all kind of like the same, it's much more easy for me to relate to a woman, and so I get more passionate, and there's a lot of that there.
Yeah, I understand you completely. It's just that it's so painful for me because I can feel this gap growing bigger and bigger between men and women. And I really do hope that it's gonna be, because yes, women are expanding, and it's it's more natural, I think, for us to dive deep into our emotions and feelings and to want to grow from a personal point of view. And then patriarchy taught men, or most men, or many men, that that's not really work that they should do, and that's not in any way desirable. They should just focus
I,
on being a good provider, and
and making more, and making more,
yes, and
without enjoying it, because
that's
many of
not really enough. Yeah.
but the good thing is that I do see a shift. I do see a lot of male coaches in the in this personal growth world that are shifting the narrative, because unfortunately a lot of men used to follow and love and and get super connected with men who were in these spaces from a very toxic masculinity space, and that they
Mhm.
were just teaching men to become toxic themselves. Without, again, I never blame the person. I think that this is something that came from culture and from all the shift that we have been like World War I, World War II, and all of that cultural shift that happened through it, right? But there are many men that I even used to look up to, and now 10 years, 15 years later, I'm like, oh my God, you are so toxic. How can you do this to other men? It's horrible, right? But I do have to say this, and I believe it with all my heart. I think that one of the reasons why I love working with women is because I feel like we are very powerful agents of change. And I know every woman in partnership, in a really beautiful partnership, will come back home and will share this with their spouses or their partners, and that's going to change. And also, I believe that, and this is not even something I believe, like I believe in God. This is a fact, is that we are in couplehood, you're co creating a reality together, 50-50. So whenever one of the couple starts to grow, if there is space for the other one to grow and they want to, they will grow too, side by side. And I say this all the time. I have a lot of clients that tell me, oh, you should really find someone that does the same for my husband. And I said, if your husband is really listening to you, and if you are working actively to maintain and co-create this beautiful reality of your life together, he will do the work even without going to a coach. And I see it. I see it in partners where the one of the partners don't do anything. The other one is on TikTok watching and meditating and manifesting and doing other things, but the other partner grows side by side. I also have seen the opposite. I have seen partnerships where one grows and the other one doesn't, and the couple dissolves, right?
Mm.
But I see with myself, my partner, it's one of the most wonderful humans in the universe, and he does not like he like I have a therapist, I have several coaches, I have a therapist, I meditate every day, I read books of self-help constantly. He shows up,
Mm.
and he grows a lot of the times through our conversations and stuff. This is why it's so important that we talk about these things with our not only with our partners, because not just with romantic partners, but with our friends, with our family, like I have wonderful friends, and most of my friends and I have very, very shallow conversations most of the time. But then there are moments of deep connection where we discuss this. And in doing that, we are healing together. We're co creating a deeper reality together. And that's just like it compounds in its power.
Yeah, I love that you are holding that perspective. I think there is a part of me, a dark, sad, angry part that doesn't experience this reality. And I do believe that women alchemize. So I saw it, that as my energy and as I've started shifting things internally, I've started shifting things ancestrally and generationally for my family. And sometimes I meet really beautiful men that I can have an equal conversation, and many times I feel so impatient and I do not want to bring my beautiful female energy to that discussion because I feel that it's such a huge gap. And of course, it
And that's
depends a lot.
beautiful.
Yeah,
That's self care.
it's a
That's
boundary. It's a
you loving
boundary.
yourself fully.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. The boundary, and of course, this happens. It depends a lot on the context, because I truly believe that the context is also very important. I believe that who you
Mhm.
are inside, of course, you can furbish yourself, but certain spaces, like a mango cannot grow in Antarctica, and an avocado needs a certain climate to grow. So, yeah.
And also, I feel like the other part, and again, this all comes back to abundance, right? And there's an amazing author that I love, and this man has changed my life many times over again, and I just love him. His name is Rob Bell, and I've seen him live a couple of times. I've worked with him one on one a couple of. He's just phenomenal. One thing he talked about is white knuckling. Is when you grab something like that, you white knuckle it, so you're holding it so tight. Nothing that you white knuckle is gonna stay. Most of the time, you're gonna break it, right? And there are relationships that are meant to be worked on and develop and grown and change and shifted and evolve forever. And like Esther Perel says that she has been in many marriages always with the same person, because you grow and you evolve together, and that's beautiful. And there are other marriages or you know what, I'm going to talk about relationships, not just marriages, because sometimes they're friendships, sometimes they're even
Yeah.
work relationships that have a beautiful moment, and then you just let them go. They dissolve because their time and their journey in your own journey was short, and then they pass. And I mean, we all have had these friendships that are like super intense for a period and then they dissolve. When we really connect with abundance, we assume that the partner that we want, if we're craving a partner, because I also think that we have a belief that everyone needs a partner, and I don't agree necessarily with that, but that for those of us yearning a partnership, the romantic partner of our dreams or our desires will come when we're ready, and when they are ready, and it's gonna synergistically pass. I can tell you from my own experience, I was married to a wonderful man who came into my life when I needed him the most. He changed me in so many ways. In so many ways, he supported me in so many ways, and then as I grew and changed and evolved and shifted, our relationship was no longer it was no longer beautiful for neither of us, and so it dissolved. But that relationship left me, first of all, 10 beautiful years of memories, two wonderful boys that we call like that we share in custody and share custody together, countless memories and lessons, and and yeah, it was beautiful. Was it painful? Fuck me, but I'm so sorry, I don't know if I can curse. I might have to believe that one.
It's okay,
Okay.
no worries.
Yes, it was brutal. It
Mm.
brought me to my knees. I thought that I was gonna die through my divorce. I remember saying that I said that to my mother at some point. I was like, I'm not coming out of this alive, because I didn't.
Mm.
I came out of that different. The Anahi that went through that died, so that this Anahi could be here, right? And I can tell you, I was broken.
Mm.
It was a man that was my best friend. He was with me when my dad was killed. He was with me. He was with me when I became a mom. It was the first face I saw the moment that the doctor said it's a boy and he's healthy. I saw his face. It's a man that is always going to have a space in my life. Do I want to live with him? No. Does he want to live with me? No. So
Yeah.
the relationship dissolved. And then many things happened. I heal, I change, I grew, I carry on my journey. And then I met another amazing human being whom I never in my life imagined I would be with. And you know what? When we talk about holding, not boundaries, but kind of like reserving the most soft and tender parts of ourselves until we are safe that the other person can hold them, because ultimately it's whether that person can hold our fullness,
Mm.
right? And we started as friends, and it just grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. Now, had I been my full self the first time that we went out for a coffee, he would have gone running because he wasn't ready and I wasn't ready. A lot of the times when we think about vulnerability, we think that when I'm fully vulnerable, then I'm going to be exposed all the time. No. Brené Brown says that vulnerability is not about me puking all my, and then this is all my pain. Vulnerability is knowing that I'm a precious, precious being, and that you need to earn that right to really witness me. It's like if we have, like we're robots, and you can show a little bit about your circuit, but there's the motherboard like that is hidden until someone can really say, you know what, I'm gonna treat you softly and lovingly, and I'm gonna be with you, and whatever I find there, you're loved and you're enough. And that's again abundance, right? Because it's when you say, and one of the lessons that I've taught my clients when I work with them on the romantic part because I do some relational coaching, like as part of it, and that I learned myself is that many times when we are seeking romantic love, we worry about the other person. So we're like, oh, are they gonna like me? I don't want them to leave. And then the response to that is, but am I gonna like them? Because if they leave, I lose them, but they lose me. And that is a big loss. So when you show up in a relationship and you say, hey, I'm here and I'm ready. And obviously you're building to that, right? So I'm here, I'm ready here. This is my beautiful self. There you go. It's in full. And these are all my layers, and these are my wounds, and these are my, my muscles, and this is all me. And the other person looks at it and are like, okay, so this is not what I want. And you're like, okay, move along. And that's not on the first date, obviously, but when we really recognize our abundant self, our worthy self, our beautiful, beautiful, full self, we know that we don't need to make ourselves small. We don't need to make ourselves big. We just show up. And whomever, whether it's a friend, a boss, a colleague, a romantic partner, whomever really deserves to go deeper into our journey with us is going to prove that with their actions, because I do think that we're wonderful. Oh my God, humans, we are the best. Like I said, I went through a divorce a couple of years ago, a bit more. And we had a long separation and then a divorce and all of that. And I feel like the biggest lesson I had around abundance with that was when I stopped seeking what wasn't there and started it's not acknowledging, but it started like oh gosh, I don't have the word in English now. It's like it started like being fascinated by what is there. When I stopped thinking, well, I don't have money as they do, or I don't have that job, or I don't have that title, and I don't have this, the followers, all those things, and I start saying, my God, look at what I have, and it was like in everything. I can tell you, like even in my body, like I did 30 years of diet. I'm 30, almost 38, and my first diet when I was 6. So I started scarcing myself when I was 6. I'm smalling myself and attacking myself, right? And then the moment that I said, well, can I, for one moment, believe maybe that my body will find its right balance and that I'm gonna thrive, and that regardless, I'm beautiful and I'm worthy of love and connection, and I'm just awesome. And it's still a journey. I can tell you, it's still a journey. I've been sharing more of that in my Instagram. It's like I'm still learning and like you said, dismantling a lot of those beliefs, right? And the same thing happened with money. I was so used to focusing on what was lacking, that to me felt impossible. Like let's say that I had 100 reals in my account or $100, right? Instead of saying, wow, I have $100, that's brilliant, I would be like, but I don't have 1,000 and I should have 3,000. And when am I gonna that person there, they have 5,000? I know they have. And it was a constant, and then it was not just only out to others, but out to me. So it was like, how is it possible that you are this age and you don't have more money? And it was very, very toxic, right? Because then money becomes this target and this enemy at the same time, right? And it was when I said, slow down. And this is a lot of what the work that I did with Malu, who kind of like connected us, right? With this Mama Invest. It was like, take hold. What do I have? Oh, I have this. Okay. Oh my goodness. That's a lot. I'm so happy. I'm so proud of look at what I have created, and I'm so young. And okay, so what do we do with that? And instead of white knuckling it and being like, and I'm gonna keep it safe because if I spend it, I went, okay, what are we gonna do with it? And I'm gonna put it there, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that, and again, it's bringing that abundance because money is flowing to me all the time, effortlessly. I don't even notice it, and boom, it bangs, and it's in my account. Wonderful. But it has been a journey, and I'm gonna be very honest with everybody. I don't have it nailed down. Nobody does. We are all. This is a constant, right? And there are days that I'm like, oh my goodness, I am the best. This is fantastic. And there are days that I'm like, oh, you know. There are months where I see my bank account and I'm like, oh, I've got all the flow. And there are months where I'm like, Lord, honestly, this is a good moment for me to win the lotto, like right now, because we're healing. We are healing
Mm.
collectively. So yeah. Um, but it has been a beautiful shift. And I can tell you I think that when you start working on this and you really see yourself as more than that one topic. So a lot of maybe some people are coming here because they want to learn how to manage their money or how to connect with money and abundance, like monetary abundance, right? But when you work on it and you really soften yourself to it, then everything that has to do with abundance starts to come. So relationships, your relationship with yourself, like you begin to notice more because you are hooked into that feeling. You know what I mean? Like I notice it even with as a mother. Now that I am committed to working daily to live in ease and abundance and joy, I am a better mother because I'm a happier mother. I am a loving parent, and I am more generous with them because I am more generous with myself, you know?
Yeah, it reverberates in all aspects of your life. So, why does money matter?
Money matters because money is an expander, it's an expansive force, and it's an equalizer. So I believe that the beauty of money is that it allows for whatever is in your heart to expand to others abundantly, right? So money matters because it enables us to grow, it enables us to help, it enables us to enjoy. And I think that also because it enables us to create a change. We vote with our expenses, we make social changes with the way we spend money, but most importantly, we can create a difference with it. So money does matter a lot. And money is not abundance, but it's a great measure to enjoy it.
What is your biggest life dream at this moment, Anahi?
Oh God. Right now I'm working on learning a lot about crypto. So I think that and you know what? I'm not gonna tell you for my life because for my life I'm living a pretty dreamy life right now. But let's say for the next 2 years, my dream is to manage my portfolio and my investments so that I can generate um, like sustainable income so that I can focus on my coaching as much as or as little as I want, depending on the season. And honestly, to enjoy my family. Like, I know it doesn't sound sexy, but I am in a season right now where success looks like homemade meals, cuddles in the sofa, and going to bed with my partner with a smile on my face. That's, I know it sounds super corny,
I don't
but
think
I'm
it does.
sorry. Like,
I, yeah. I find
I
that it's very real. You are speaking to probably millions, maybe billions of people who, when you've been brainwashed into believing that success looks in a different way, being able to be real and truthful and honest seems unnatural. But actually, this is what success probably is for most of us.
I was talking to a friend the other day, and my mother had a wonderful career. She had 40 years in the oil and gas industry, more than 40 years, a lot of years in the oil and gas industry, and she did amazing things in Venezuela and here in Qatar. And she, like, honest, she has a master's degree. She was like this incredible professional person, and my career was very good. Like, I'm not gonna complain. Like, I worked really hard, and I was very good at what I was doing, and I'm very good as a coach and everything. But I feel like I was brainwashed, like you said, to believe that for me to be really successful, I had to have a six-figure business and people under me and books and TV appearances with Oprah, and I have to be talking to in front of millions of people. And it might be for some, but you want to know what I really want? I want to drop my kids at school every day. I want to pick them up every day and listen to their stories about the day. I want to kiss them goodnight whenever I have them. I want to look at my partner in the eye when we're having dinner without having to check on my phone because Nothing is more important than having him there. I want to travel with my parents whenever I have a chance. I want to see my friends for coffee at least once a week, and I want to be able to go to the gym every day. That's it. That's it. I want my needs taken care of, my financial needs taken care of by my investments and all that, so that I can be present to the beauty of this life that I have co-created and that I am so lucky to have. That's it. I no longer seek all like a closet full of designer shoes or a Rolex or a fancy car. I seek beautiful moments of connection like this one that we're sharing, where I'm myself and my humanity is celebrated. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I wanted to say, and socially be. It's a magical term, so that we bring it into creation.
Thank
Do you
you.
have some practical tips for the listeners around prosperity and abundance? Maybe some rituals or whatever examples, exercises you have.
Yeah, I'm gonna say a few. So one, sound. Sound is healing, and we don't rely on sound enough. Honestly, it's one of the hacks that I always give my clients. So Google or YouTube binaural. So binaural, binaural beats prosperity. And whenever you are working, whenever you are, or abundance, or whatever it is that you want to call into your life, even physical things like medical things, just find that, because there are different frequencies and they do shift the way our brain works. So it's not woo woo, it's fat. So that's the first thing would be use sound, use meditations, use noises, use music to heal your cells and your body, because it does work. It's a given. One. Two, clarity. Be super clear about what you want and make it yours. Don't stop bullshitting yourself that you want what your neighbor has or what that person there or what someone on Instagram has. What do you want? What lights your soul on fire? Write it down, clean it up, polish it, and start to go deeper into what is the energy under it. How does it feel? How does I want to feel in my heart and in my body? And that clarity helps you create it. Three, remember that abundance is in every decision that you make. So stop skimping yourself. Buy the ice cream if you feel like you want the ice cream. Eat the salad if you feel like you want the salad. Sleep in if you can. Move if you want. Dance, move. Express yourself fully, because that is abundance. The fourth one would be challenge your family's beliefs around abundance and money and prosperity. Challenge them, because the fact is that most of us have so much trauma that has been passed from generation to generation. So you challenging them might help them heal it too. And then the last one is believe that it's easy. Believe that there's so many forces supporting you, so it's easy. And if it's struggle, forget about that. Like, I think that the biggest lie that we believe around abundance and money and wealth is that we have to struggle to get it. And that is bullshit. It's not true. It's not true. And the more we know that that's not true, then you're like, oh, and because it's for everything, right? So if a friendship, it's a struggle, let it go. If a pant, it's a struggle, let it go. Let it go. Because ease is connected to abundance so deeply. So those are my five tips.
Thank you for making it so tangible. Where can we find you online?
So I am on Instagram, Live by Anahi, and I am on TikTok, and I think it's Anahi Ope, or I don't know, but I think if you put Anahi, I'm gonna be there. I think it might be Live by Anahi too, I'm not sure. And my website is the selfworthcoach.online, and I am, in the next couple of months, I'm gonna be rechanging everything, because I'm changing my offerings, and I'm gonna be doing a lot of things. And if you are in Qatar and you are a woman, also check out the Women's Circle. So it's on Instagram, womencircle.qa, because that's where I do events every single month, and we talk about all these things. So if you can and if you're here, just come join us.
Amazing. And everything is going to be in the footnotes, so no worries that you can't remember your name on TikTok. Thank you so much. I mean, like, it's not really relevant either. Thank you so much, Anahi. Thank you, everybody, also for tuning in, and see you for the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, the best way to support us is to subscribe and share. And if you know anybody who would be a great fit to be featured on the show, please do reach out. Meanwhile, make your money matter.